Can you hear me?
Thank you so much, and thank you for the privilege. I'm really. Um, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you beautifully now. Yes.
Okay. I was just thanking you for the time and for the privilege. Thank you very much.
Thank you for squeezing us into your tight schedule. We'll just start from the very beginning and just move on to find out a couple of things. We all know how Nigeria is right now. We all know where Nigeria has been and where she could be right now. In a quick assessment, how can you just look at the things that have been happening the past 3-4 days in the country, talking about the hunger protests and the fallout? What will be your quick overview of everything?
Well, I guess it's a it's a reaction to where we are as a people, as a nation, as a country. I guess people have gotten to that stage in their lives when they think they need to speak out. And I think Nigerians have been extremely calm, extremely tolerant, maybe to some extent, very, very, I would say, not
Docile.
knowledgeable, docile, not knowledgeable enough, and not being able to connect their personal circumstances with the governance of the day. But I think that awareness is building up now, and people are beginning to become more sensitive and more aware of what government should do and what government is not doing.
And in the midst of this travel from where we were to where we are now, a lot of mistrust has been in the air. People are kind of, based on the conversation I have here every morning, people are losing trust in some institutions. For instance, you're a man of the cloth. You head a church, you're a pastor. So I'll just talk from that perspective. Some people are beginning to lose faith in the religious entities because they feel that they seem to pander to wherever the cash seem to be flowing from. How do you feel about this?
There, to a large extent, they are correct, and I'll be one of the first to say that some of our faith institutions have failed the people, because instead of really asking God, working for God, finding out from God, they are pandering a lot more to their own personal interests and to the things that they want to do. And sometimes they're not even able to discern good from bad, righteousness from unrighteousness. It's just the humanity in man that is coming to fall in this very, very challenging environment where the rule of law, which is, you know,
The line is a bit crackly.
it's a bit crackly, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. The network has been dodgy for some weeks now, I know. So, with this said, can this ever be corrected again? Can we ever regain trust? If yes, how can that be done?
Well, it takes, when God was angry with Sodom and Gomorrah, for those who have read their Bibles, he was angry because he couldn't find enough men of faith and righteousness. Okay, so he was looking for 50, he didn't find 50, looked for 40, didn't find 40. He went all the way down to 10, and he still couldn't find 10. I'm praying that in Nigeria we can find at least 10 righteous men who are bold, courageous enough, ready to speak out, ready to say the truth, ready to pay the price, ready to run the sacrifice, ready to stand up for what is right. If we do not find those 10 at any level, then it might be not a very interesting outcome in the longer term. Because wherever there's unrighteousness, it will eventually end up in chaos and failure. It is incontrovertible. It's like driving a car with 4 flat tires. It will eventually stop. It may run for a few miles, depending on what kind of car it is. But some things are just not sustainable, and that Africa, I'm not even talking about Nigeria now, has been preserved for so long on the beds and foundations of unrighteousness is just the grace and the mercy of God that truly wants something to come out of this wonderful continent that is called my call and my appeal and my energy is really being directed at finding these 10 or a bit more righteous people.
And if we were to put it in proper perspective now, for let's say all of us to truly understand,
who would find the courage to speak up for Nigeria. It's been a very... Sorry, I didn't get that.
No, you know, the line broke, so I thought you had taken a pause, so I spoke. I didn't know you were...
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I didn't know you were still talking, so please carry on, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me also?
Yes, I can hear you now. It disappeared for a while.
Yeah, it's the connection and then a few interruptions here and there of technical.
Yes.
So I said the challenge is find these 10 men or women that will stand up for truth, for righteousness, for right thinking in Nigeria. And if, as in the case of the children of Israel,
okay, I'm suspicious. Okay,
God may choose only just one man.
Yes, I'm suspicious that maybe we could just do this via direct call. We'll do it via call, and it will be seamless like that. What do you think?
Well, then you won't have the opportunity of the video, or maybe we can. Yeah, why not?
Then we'll put a picture there. They will know, at least they've seen you now. So they know that it's truly you. I'm not the one using AI to generate your voice. They know already.
Flesh and blood. But nevertheless, if it does interrupt again, maybe we'll try that.
Okay.
But nevertheless, is that we need to find that one man or a collection of men who God will love and trust and who God will use. The challenge in Nigeria is finding those men. You know, when you find a man who is righteous, he doesn't have courage. When you find a man who has a bit of courage, he doesn't have the moral gravitas. So it's been a very difficult task, I tell you, finding the right kind of people.
So it's not a thing of religion now. Righteousness is a state of being, if I may put that in, if I'm correct. Has it got anything to do with religion, this righteousness we are talking about?
Well, religion comes in, or let me say faith comes in, because faith is the foundation of righteousness. Okay, a man who doesn't have the appropriate faith might have some righteousness by instinct and by knowledge and by the work of his conscience. Okay, if he's bold enough to have that righteousness, God will be careful enough to use him, even if he doesn't have some kind of religion or faith or whatever. And then we work on the faith later. Okay, so for example, when God spoke to Abraham, he wasn't a man of faith as such. He wasn't a religious man. In fact, it was a conversation with God that converted him into some form of faith. Okay, he had no relationship with God up until that time, but he had in him the potentials of righteousness and a good heart. The Bible says that God said, this is Abraham. I can see from the condition of his heart that if I walk with him, he will teach his children all my ways and he will obey me. Okay, so sometimes God is more interested in the heart of a man and his righteousness before he starts now giving him the do's and the don'ts, the rules and the regulations and things like that, that make him a really deeply spiritual man and knows how to walk with God. So those people are not even really available in Nigeria anymore. We can't find them. The level of corruption is so intense. The greed and the desire for self-survival is so great that it overwhelms everything else. And we're fast going down the dark tunnel. I spoke to one of the leaders of Nigeria when we run up to the 2023 elections, when I saw the way the elections were likely to go. And I said, Oga, are you going to just sit back and just watch these elections end up this predictable way? He said, well, he doesn't have time anymore for Nigeria and Nigeria's wahala. And then he said in Yoruba, Iya no itito. What he was saying is that Nigerians have not suffered enough. They've been through enough pain and enough problem and enough fear and enough lack to make them realize that they needed to rise up and do something about their situation. Again, it happened to the children of Israel in Egypt. It is when they went through rigor and pain and lack and all that, that all of a sudden they started crying to God again. So I hope Nigeria doesn't go that way at this point, but that's the way we seem to be going.
You just referred to, you just referred to the Israelites, their complaints and all that. Eventually they got somebody who led them out, right? Somebody who wanted to bring them out of that suffering. They got to a point and they were like, see, you for just leave us for where we did. We had better things here, and because of that, the Nigerians seem to show that attitude. I get a lot of messages, like one this morning was telling people to stop protesting, go home. Nigeria is not worth dying for. Nigerians are still the ones who will tell you, I beg, we send you, the suffering of this protest is too much. Please take us back to where we were before. So, are Nigerians truly ever going to be ready for that real crossover?
Well, again, we can look at the biblical example that you've just said, and that should tell you the way these things go. So what is happening to Nigeria is not new. It's happened before. The same people that God was trying to rescue and take in a certain path, rather will go back to the slavery because they were so mentally used to that slavery. And they said the leeks and the cucumbers in Egypt.
They're better.
Okay, bring us here. Because they didn't want to pay the sacrifice of change, okay? But it was the persistence of one leader called Moses that saw them through. One leader. That one leader who's ready to lay everything on the ground, even in spite of great criticism and threats and attacks, even by the people that he's serving, to see us through. This is where Nigeria is at this point in time.
You're into management and you've done this a long while. You've studied it. You're even a part of the Nigerian Institute of Management. A country is, so, to some people, a country is like a company too, that has to be managed. Do you think Nigeria is being properly managed? Has Nigeria ever been properly managed?
Well, I think from 1953, when we started agitating for self-rule and all that, and when the Awolowos and co were premiers, Nigeria was reasonably well managed, to be honest. And most of what you still see in Nigeria today, outcomes of that management. We went somewhere yesterday with my brother in Edo State, and the roads there were terrible, to be honest. But as we were leaving, my brother said, but we see some asphalt here, some tar here. Means that there used to be a road here, And then he says, oh, this must be the road that Chief Obafemi Awolowo or his government constructed. So you are talking about 1953 to 1960. That's when they constructed a road to this part of the Edo State. And from that time till today, there has been no government presence in that part of Edo State. But almost 70 years ago, some government had gone there. I was in Ikoyi prison for my birthday in April, and the warder, or the head of the prison, had two complaints for me. The first one was that they didn't have a bus to carry the prisoners to court on a regular basis, so he wanted a bus. I said, I'll find money, buy him a bus. The second was that the prison was over-congested. The prison was built in 1958 or 1957 to accommodate maybe 300 or 400 prisoners. Now they had 3,000 prisoners there.
Wow.
It meant that, yes, 3,000 prisoners for a space for 300 or 400 prisoners. It meant that since 1957 or 58, when that prison was built, between the British and the foreign government and the Awolowo people, nobody had gone to that prison to address the state of infrastructure. The little buildings that have been added by churches, maybe mosques, maybe foundations, but government itself had not gone to that prison to change any element of its infrastructure since 1958. And it's like that in almost all the prisons. It's like that in quite a lot of the hospitals. Last year or the year before, I went to the hospital in which I was born in Ibadan. I stumbled on it. And as I entered the hospital, I had this feeling of deja vu. You remember when you were young going to the hospital. Yeah. But what happened me was that nothing had changed in that hospital since 1963 or 1964, when I last visited the hospital. 1965, it was our family hospital. But since the late 60s anyway, nothing has changed in that hospital. The wood that used to be the floor had now decayed and it was falling off, and one or two wards had been walled off because no government had come there to make any infrastructural change in that hospital. So this is the problem with Nigeria. We have had since 1966, when the military took over, and I put a lot of the bad governance squarely in their door, whether they like it or not. The wrong constitution that we have now was a military creation. The introduction of a unitary government, which was in the basis on which Nigeria was negotiated, was a military introduction. The introduction of the governor or the head of state being involved and being so powerful in Nigeria was also a military introduction. The introduction of governance that had no care or feeling for the people was introduced by the military. The introduction of a procurement and contracting kind of governance was also a foundation by the military. And successive civilian governments have just built on that foundation, because most of them that took over from the military were military apologists and friends of the military, and arrangements by the military to put these people in power when they were leaving. So they've continued the trend and introduced an awful amount of corruption in the policy, such that corruption now has become almost a way of life. A friend of mine was joking the other day. He was serious. A friend of mine was joking, or maybe he was serious the other day, and he was saying that why don't we even legitimize corruption in Nigeria so that corruption becomes a way of life, and we plan for it. We plan for it. It becomes part of our way of doing things. So everybody now knows that this is the way to do things, and it becomes a norm. And maybe when it becomes a norm, then we can work with it and all that. Well, it was like a joke, but it was also a serious statement. Because, and it's not just the leaders, my dear, it is everybody. I mean, if you go to the fuel station today, the fuel attendant is corrupt. If you get to the police post or the police checkpoint, the policeman is corrupt. If you go to a hotel, you are trying to go in, trying to come out, the attendant at the door is looking at you, hoping that you give him something for doing his job. If you get to the airports, almost all the attendants, from the beginning to the end, are greeting you specially, loving you particularly.
Too much greeting, too much love. We don't want them.
because they are looking for something. You understand? You know, a man stops you on the road, traffic offense. The next thing is that we'll just give them what they want and be going your way. Yeah, you know, so it's almost becoming a way of life. You take your file to the ministry, the secretary will hide your file, or he will take your number and call you and tell you that this is the way you should handle his oga, blah, 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 blah. And if you don't listen to him and give him something, blah, 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 blah,
End of the
blah.
matter.
In Nigeria, you know, there's been stories of people who go to people, I can take you to see this person, say that person, pay me $10,000, pay me $20,000. Somebody came to me and said they bought their nephew's employment in a government establishment. They paid.
Actually, they
somebody.
do. Actually, they do. They say it's quota.
You know,
they give somebody say it's quota, and that person will start selling it. Maybe a council boss or one person or the other, senator or whoever. They start selling those to people. They pay money.
the other day, somebody wanted to see somebody who was a friend of mine, and I introduced them, and the person was shocked that how much did I want for this introduction?
Yeah.
That this is the first person in their life, the first time in their life that they've been taken to somebody and nobody's asking them for money. So this is how it is in Nigeria. A lot of people who are occupying positions of leadership today paid for it.
So that puts us in a quagmire because they have to make their money back.
Either as politicians or as appointees, they pay back. So how do you run a system where the best is not in class and the best is not in charge? You know, what you get is mediocrity. Incompetence breeds incompetence. It's as simple as that. And until you are able to get rid of this rental and rent-seeking environment in Nigeria, we're just going to be begging the question. We're going to be begging the question.
So how do we change this management? Because you can change a board, you can change a management. How do we change this bad management that we've had there for so long? Must we continue? Is it also a case of the people becoming complicit, becoming too comfortable in the bad state they are in?
We're all complicit. We're all complicit. And we all are getting what we compromise to get. So, and that's where we are. You know, we're all complicit. The rules of Nigeria say that to change a bad management, you go to the polls and you vote. You understand? You vote. You join the political party and you ensure that the political process does not throw up a bad person. Because if that process throws up a bad person, then when you are going to the polls, you are choosing between 2, 3, 4 bad people. But if you join the political party and at that level you are influential enough to make sure that the process is run right and produces a good person, you've gone one step ahead. That's the process of change in Nigeria. You understand? Protests are good, they are okay, they bring reality, but they may not bring in fundamental change, because change comes from pre-selection or change comes from a transformation of the mind. If you cannot transform a person's mind, you cannot cause him to change. Because even though he may react to your pressure today, his mind is not changed. So when that pressure goes off, he will go back to his old state and business will continue as usual. So you either get the person ab initio with the right mind, you know, and sometimes you tell people that this person has the right mind or this person is slightly better than this person. And the people you are telling are arguing with you. And you know what they say? They say, he doesn't spend money. He's a miser. He's too hard. He's too disciplined. He's too rigid. He's too tough. You know, go let person chop.
Imagine.
You know, but we are saying, but that is exactly what you don't want. You want to recruit an MD for a bank. You want to recruit an MD for an oil company. And you are looking for somebody who is not strict. You are looking for somebody who is not disciplined. You are looking for somebody who will allow people to chop money. You are looking for somebody who will tell lies. You are looking for somebody who will deceive you. You are actively looking for the wrong kind of person to do the job. And when you that person, you're expecting him to do the job well. Isn't that a contradiction of sorts?
So change of mind is a major thing here now.
So you need to transform people's minds.
Okay.
And we're getting to the stage in Nigeria now where young people don't even know what is good or what is right, what is wrong. Where young people do not know that hard work is a way of life. Where people do not know that, truth is something to be admired. Where people where young children expect their parents to take them to magic centers to do exam, where they expect their parents to talk to their teacher to pass them or give the teacher a bribe, where young people expect that their parents will write their exams for them, and they think it is not.
And when even the teachers are part of those destroying the academic system. I'll give Joseph something to share with you, and in case you've not even seen that, so that you'll also see the role of rectors, VCs in the decay that we're experiencing now, that a lot of people do not even know is the reason behind the decay. It's very sad. Education and all. Joseph wanted to ask you a question.
Pastor, good morning.
Good morning, Joseph.
Yeah, good morning. The two questions. The first one is, what is your assessment of wonderful president broadcast yesterday? Then the second one is, a JAMB registrar just came out with something now. You allow people to pay money, take risks to go and do exam in a very distant place. They see their result, but you are not coming out now that a child that is up to 18 years cannot have admission. And I will say we don't need a military system of administration. So what do you think we can do that our leaders should be able to, we should operate in the same, we should be singing from the same book?
I keep repeating myself, first of all, the president's broadcast, most of what he said yesterday, he had said before. There was nothing really new that he said. But I think he felt that it was important that he addressed the people and sort of like told them that he's a listening president, he's hearing their cry, he's going to try and do his best to ameliorate situations and so on and so forth. So he said it before. We've heard it before, most of what was said, and we all know what is going on. But what Nigeria needs, I believe, is a bit more fundamental than what was said yesterday. Very, very fundamental. Nigeria's problem is very, very deep. And nobody should tell anybody that they can solve that problem overnight. It takes a lot to build. It's going to take at least 5 years and maybe 20 to turn Nigeria around. But it must be 5 years going into 20 years of consistency in certain places and certain rules and policies. The problem with Nigeria is that you must stop corruption immediately, starting from the president all the way down to the cleaner in my bathroom. Every way of life must stop immediately for Nigeria to turn around. The second thing is that every gain from corruption must be returned, or as much of it as possible must be returned. So I'll give you an example. A lot of people have Nigeria's money in Swiss accounts. They have Nigerian money in buildings in Dubai. They have Nigeria's money in London, in Paris, everywhere like that. Let them bring that money back. If they could bring even 50% of that money back, the foreign exchange rate will change overnight. I can assure you about that. So if you had a president who was ready to insist on that everybody that has made money from corruption, or everybody that has money abroad, or even those who didn't make money from corruption, they earn the money genuinely, but they have foreign exchange abroad that maybe they don't really need or something like that. Let Nigeria buy that money from them and let them bring that money back. Okay? The third thing is to reduce importation as much as possible. If you reduce importation, you reduce your demand for foreign exchange and you bring the foreign exchange level down. So you want to reduce it as much as possible. So anything that is not important, that is not essential, that is not productive, should not waste our foreign exchange. You know, don't waste our foreign exchange buying things that we could get in Nigeria. One of it is food. Another is luxury items, you know, jewelry, wristwatches, bangles, cars of some sort, and so on and so forth. And then all this exotic food, or not critical food. We don't need all these things in Nigeria. If it is cocoyam that we can eat, let us eat cocoyam. If it is maize alone we can eat, let us eat maize. We don't need to import rice. Let us grow what we eat what we grow. So if we reduce our demand for foreign exchange because of our tastes or whatever it is, champagne, for example, whiskey, brandy, all these really expensive and exotic drinks, we don't really need them in Nigeria. Let us try and localize our consumption as much as we can. It will reduce foreign exchange. Then number 4, we must increase production. And that is the difficult one. It's going to take time to increase production so that we have more to consume and more to sell and more to export. So every single mineral that is valuable in Nigeria must be produced. Every single food commodity that can be sold abroad or anywhere must be produced. Not only should we produce them, we should add value to them so that we're not selling them for rough price. We're selling them for value. You know, if you increase production in Nigeria, you would increase employment, you will increase value, you'll increase earnings in foreign exchange.
Excuse me, sir. Let me butt in a little bit. This bit you're talking about production is very crucial. I agree with that, but there is a little challenge right now. Even the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, NECA and all, they are complaining that it's becoming a lot harder for them to even operate in Nigeria, especially with the electricity tariff hike. And the many taxation seem to be choking them a lot, and a lot of companies have even closed down, and this is affecting production. Is there no way forward other than all the taxing, high pricing for electricity and so on?
Yeah, this is where we have to beg government. Government needs the taxes to run government. But the unfortunate thing is that most of the taxation goes into corruption. That's why we're feeling the pain. Okay? So if we can beg governments, and that's what we call ease of doing business, making it easy for people to do business. If Nigeria government was going to subsidize anything at all, what they should subsidize is the electricity, so that everybody can get good electricity at a cheap price that will increase production. The second thing is to make it easy for people to do business by not giving them too many taxes. Have 1 or 2 taxes that are very, very simple. Maybe 5%, maybe a 10% tax on something. You pay it flat, you go your way, you know, but just increase the bandwidth of the people paying taxes, increase the number of them, because a lot of people in Nigeria, even though they complain about taxation, a lot of people don't pay tax. So it is the foreign companies that want to do things right that are being bashed left, right, and center with this multiple taxation. But the average trader doesn't pays little or no tax because the government is not efficient enough to put him on the tax bandwidth. So we need efficiency in taxation and a wider bandwidth of people paying tax, and you'll be surprised that you collect a lot more tax than just a few people paying it through their noses. But the place must be safe for people to do business. That's where security comes in. Government was work hard at that, and also a friendly environment for people to come and do business. A lot of businesses in Nigeria have gone to Angola, they've gone to Ghana, They've gone to all sorts of countries that are more receiving. And corruption also fights business, because where there is corruption, only the corrupt will come and do business there. The right people will not be able to cope with it. So this is the environment. This is what government wants to work on. But unless you get the person who is thinking right, who thinks that this is the right thing to do, it's going to be an uphill challenge. If you have a president or a governor who thinks that he should just take government's earnings and divide it among his friends and his political allies, you will not get anything out of it. You first of all have to change that his thinking. If you cannot change his thinking, you'll be wasting your time. So this is the problem we're having in Nigeria. But if we can increase production, I mean, in the 50s and the early 60s, we were producing. There was no oil, but people were producing cocoa, people were producing palm oil, people were producing rubber, people were producing cotton, people were producing hides and skins, people were producing cashew nuts and things like that. And Nigeria was thriving. The farmers were to farm. People were harvesting, people were selling. And the foreign exchange was fantastic because we didn't have that much demand. When I was growing up, nobody went to school abroad as a matter of, we had stopped that. Our parents went by scholarship. We, their children, were going to school in Nigeria and we're enjoying it because the schools were good. But all of a sudden, the Nigerian school institution, because of corruption, began to fail. Now we spend so much foreign exchange on education. So we need total reorientation, and it is only a right-thinking person who is void of this rent-seeking, who is totally ungreedy, who is totally unselfish, who is totally truthful, who really fears God and is honest, that can do this thing for us in Nigeria. So what we need to do is either to beg our leaders to change their thinking, to beg them, to talk to them, to cajole them, to force them, to appeal to them, to change their thinking, or find the leaders who think right to lead us. Is one of the two things, but a lot of them are not quite ready to do that because they didn't go there in the first place to lead the people aright. That's not why they went there. They paid for where they went to, and they are determined to get the results of their payment or the profit from their expenditure.
And that is a sad one. Thank you very much, Pastor Ituah Ighodalo, for working us through this session today. I'm hoping that we can have another time with you where we can really look at this management thing and how we can turn ourselves, our minds around as a nation. I'm hoping we'll be able to do that again very soon.
No problem. I'm always available. I'm determined to contribute my quota to our nation called Nigeria, and hope that God will help us and people will hear what we're saying.
Amen to that. Thank you very much. Pastor Ituah Ighodalo is accountant, writer, and founder, president of Trinity House Church here in Lagos. And you can also see that is one who is desperate to see a change in Nigeria for good. Thank you so much for your time, and talk to you again very soon.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
God bless you too. God bless you too. You're listening to VOP 90.3 FM. We've listened to Pastor Ituah Ighodalo. You heard that people pay for these things and they must get their money back. And remember, send him the thing I said you should. Okay. So that thing is a pain in the neck.
No, seriously.
You pay to get power.
Yes.
You must get your money back now. And I was worried the other time the president was saying that I spent my fortune to get here. Nobody sponsored me. I spent my fortune. What is fortune? That is big.
Ego and other things.
Oh, well, so far so good. We'll be joined now by Sowore. Sowore is already on the line. Comrade Omoyele Sowore is joining us remotely too. And we'll be looking at, it's more like us having a recap of what has been on from the first till today. Today is day 4.
Fifth.
Is today 5th already?
Yeah, today is 5th. This month, this year, don't they fly?
Now, wow. let's see how far. While some are saying, okay, the president has spoken, let's call this off and move on. They're saying, some are saying, no, we'll not call off anything because we didn't hear anything from what you said. Now let's hear and see what was expected and what was gotten, and we'll get to also get to speak with you too and see how far this session can take us in understanding what's still on the ground, what's still happening, what's still going on, so that we'll know where to put leg when we want match. While we're waiting to have Sowore come on, let's quickly read some more messages here. My name is Elvis from Akeson. The president's speech is nothing to write home about. All issues raised by the protesters was not addressed. There's nothing new. Is always, I understand your pain. I beg, my lady, let's revisit 1914 amalgamation, where Britain said, if we can't live together as a country for 100 years, the advice we should do the needful. Nigeria is 110 from 1914. That's my take this morning. All right, I get you. Omoyele Sowore is very much on the line now. Comrade, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. And how have you been?
Busy and also very excited at the fact that our people are taking up the gauntlet and fighting the fight, a good fight.
And you're also excited that finally the president got to speak to, right?
I wasn't fighting for him to speak. I don't care.
I just set a little trap for you like this. You just took Okay, so let's move on now. So far, so good. What has it been like? We've been seeing the news, but you guys have been in the thick and thin of it all. Share with us, please. The protest they want till now.
Yes, it's been today's day 5, and our people are back on the streets in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, Akure, Abuja. Abuja has been very brutal crackdown, and also people are back on the streets in Kano, Kaduna. And we expect them to be on the streets in Osogbo, Osun State. Plateau did impose a curfew, 24-hour curfew overnight to prevent people from coming out in Jos. But I've seen I've heard words that regardless, some people did come out in Jos today. So this is going on pretty well, way more than they had expected. So but we must not also forget the people who have made supreme sacrifices, those who were killed by the police and thugs in the northern parts of the country, those who have been injured in Abuja, and there was a death also in Abuja where someone was killed by the police, and a lot of injuries in Abuja, including the ones affecting journalists.
Yeah, and I read them telling the journalists that when you're coming next time, wear your uniforms for you to come. Does that give anybody any right to hurt anybody, whether you're a journalist or not? Maybe that's a question that should be asked.
The issue about journalism these days is that there's a lot of journalists out there who are not, who don't want to be identified. And there are a lot of journalists too, because of the nature of social media, who are just out to document events, and they don't necessarily have affiliation with media houses. So where are they going to get tags? Where are they going to get reflector jackets? And where are they going to get bulletproof vests? Since the police and the DSS are shooting live bullets in Abuja against journalists and peaceful protesters.
This morning, while we're taking a look at the papers, we saw this one from the Nation newspaper that showed as if the protest has lost momentum, that protesters leave Lagos ground, desert Abuja, Benin venues, and that when the president made a speech, quarrel erupted because some said, okay, he has answered us and all that. That's what this paper had carried, and we saw it this morning. What's the reaction to this? Did the crowds thin out, or are you still gathering or gaining grounds?
I mean, they said Lagos has called off.
That's
you tell me.
The Nation newspaper.
Well, I don't, you tell me, has Lagos called off? Is Lagos not back on the streets at Ojota this morning as we speak live? Are the people of Kano not back on the streets? Abuja, they're gathering, but there's been a lot of crackdown and repression in Abuja. Kaduna is back on the streets. So what do you expect the Nation to write? The Nation is Tinubu's paper.
So now that they are back on the streets, what is the dialogue level like? Because I am quite worried, right? The way the police has handled things, the military and so on. Even Wale Soyinka, the prof, came out and said, this is wrong. The president did not even address that in the speech, that you should have addressed this, that this has been handled wrongly. With the deaths that have been recorded and the brutality recorded so far in some parts of the country, are you guys going to take this up with any organization? Are you going to take the government to court, or at the end of it, everything will just go away like that?
No, it won't go away. You remember 2020 NSAS?
Yeah.
I said it during that period that it was the first time a new generation of Nigerians tasted activism. And what they did to them in 2020 is something that they would never forget. It's the driving force that took us to where we are today. But in 2020, they thought it was over after the next day. But look at, after 2020, this is 2024, 4 years later, look at the massive number of people that came out to commence this protest that we're talking about. It's unprecedented. And when I mean unprecedented in terms of geographical spread in particular, because even 2020, there was practically nothing beyond Abuja. When I said there are some states in the north that did participate, but it was from Abuja and below. So, but look at this one now. Even as we speak, people in Gombe, people in Yobe, Maiduguri, Kano, Kaduna, people in Katsina, they're all out. The same thing is happening in Lagos today. Akure joined. There's Benin City. There's Warri, Sapele as we speak. So does it look to you that the young people of this country have not advanced more than the leaders? The leaders are still living in the past. The young people are looking into the future, and they're fighting to guarantee a future in which there will be success for their existence. There will be prosperity. There will be peace that has been brought about by justice, not just peace of the graveyard.
What about the destruction that followed? Did anybody envisage this? Because one of the complaints that was given was the fact that for some of those places, especially in the north, they didn't have recognizable people arranging the people, moving people, or just generally speaking to the crowd. So a lot of young, small children went out into the street. A lot of destruction went on, and people, as we already know, died. For instance, they said death toll, according to the report from Daily Trust, about 18, but the police is reporting 7, and injuries. And so far, approximation of worth of goods lost so far, about 6 billion naira. Did that not worry the team? Because the complaint, again, I repeat, is the fact that nobody was organizing these people. Or do you think that something went wrong somewhere?
I don't think we should be speaking in a manner that is contextually incorrect. You have to just look at the videos in Kano. I'm actually surprised at how organized Kano protesters were. Not only were they organized, when they started their protest, they went and visited the governor and presented their grievances to the governor. It was when they were leaving that another group, sponsored by the political party in power, APC, attacked them. The governor of Kano State, and I'm referring you to this now so that you can get this right, said, I watched it yesterday, that some politician that has been appointed in Abuja was the cause of the looting and the violence. The violence that took place on Saturday was carried out by the police. That was also very organized because the people protesting were carrying leaves. And the people you call children are not children, they are hungry people. When there is hunger in any country, the first set of people that are affected are kids, little kids. So any one of them that can stand on their feet would protest. There's nothing you can do about it, because they are driven by hunger. They want to eat. And sometimes also we misrepresent facts. by claiming that people who look small are children. So many of the people you see in Kano that you call children are people whose whose growth was stunted by hunger. A lot of them are in their 20s, but because they haven't had access to great nutrition, they might look very small to you. And they know that if they had access to food, they will be as tall as you and I. So why won't they fight to end hunger? This is a struggle to end hunger and poverty, first and foremost. What we have then done is to put this within the context of the problems that will solve hunger and poverty issues on the long term. It's not about buying and distributing rice. And there was an analysis that was made yesterday by a guy on TV, on the program that I was on, that the amount of rice that the federal government sent to states meant that 6 Nigerians will have to share one module of rice. 6 Nigerians will have to sit down and share one module of rice. So, and that's only once. It's not available every day. Just once. This one-time intervention. How long can it last for 6 grown Nigerians to share one module of rice? That is what the federal government intervention meant. So, Kano was organized, I want to make it very clear, very well organized, and they still continue to be well organized. They filed, they march, they carry leaves, which is a sign of peace, that we are here for peace, and then the police just will ram into them and shoot directly at them. So many of the people that died in a stampede. Some were directly shot by police officers that were caught on tape.
Joseph?
Okay, Sowore, thank you for joining us. Last week we have the spokesperson of the police with us, and he said that the IGP, the police in Nigeria, cannot sit down and allow any Nigeria to be killed or being harmed, and that is why they now issue a red alert. And they're equally saying that it is because you are yet to be free from the last year election that maybe you are trying to pay back that because you did not, you are not the one that was declared winner. That is why you are outside, and you are now instigating a lot of things in Nigeria to destabilize the system. What will be your response?
The person that you brought on your show is foolish, very foolish, and these are the incompetent people handling the police force.
Don't you think that is a bit harsh?
It's not harsh, it's been truthful. Some of the police officers who are DIGs and even the IG now, they were just entering the police force when I became the student union president of the University of Lagos in 1993. That's 31 years ago, right? So you can ask DIG Frank Omba. He entered the University of Lagos after I left the University of Lagos in 1995. He will tell you, there were students that came after me at the University of Lagos because he told me personally that he attended in lag after we left or during the time I was about to leave. So how would they then say that it's because of 2023 election that they stole? And who did I lose against in 1993 when I fought for democracy? Or 1995, 1994, 1996, 97, 98, before I left Nigeria. And I have been doing since I left Nigeria. I've come back to Nigeria. So which election did I lose when I was fighting against Ighodalo when they didn't want Jonathan to become president? Which election did I lose at that time? That's why I said they are foolish. And you should stop bringing foolish people to say foolish things on your shows. I'm not harsh. It's something I will say to them even if I see them face to face, and you know that about me. I did not leave the country to go and protest or instigate protest. When I was in Nigeria, even on that restriction, when the judge ruled that I am restricted to Abuja and should not speak, I was protesting. I was protesting when I was shot in a tie. I was protesting when they broke my nose January 2021. I was protesting when I visited Nigeria for a trial on May 2nd, 2024, for a journalist that was put in detention because he wrote a story against one Orelope woman who's one of Tinubu's cronies, former DG of SDG, a special assistant, senior assistant on SDG, who stole money, and Daniel Ojuku of FIJ wrote a story. They put him in detention for 10 days. I went and protested. So these guys have no clue who I am. And the ones that know me will not come and say that. And those are the ones that I've mentioned to the top hierarchy of the police, because a lot of them were not. Some of these guys they're talking to they have not entered. They have not finished secondary school when I was student union president at the University of Lagos.
So the protest so far, the president's speech, did it address anything?
Or that they should equally come and talk, sir?
Yeah,
It did not. Everybody in the country, including people who were sympathetic to the president and his party, said he said loads of crap in that speech. That is, he said nothing. Much ado about nothing is what it is called. So nobody has said he said anything tangible. What he did, I don't know whether it was tactical, was to reenact the election campaigns. Or maybe he forgot that the elections are over and he's still campaigning.
So what were we expecting? I know a lot of people waited for that to hear something. If that speech had been given by you, what would you have said as a response to what had been put on the table as demands?
If I tell you what I'll say if I was president, they will steal the idea. So I'm not the advisor.
What were you expecting him to say?
Into office.
What were you
the ones who bring themselves into office, they should deal with it. Deal with the consequences of what they invited upon themselves, which is that they are capable and ready to rule Nigeria. Now they have it, let them deal with it.
But is he inviting him to now? Is he inviting you?
They know that I cannot fall for such traps. Dialogue that they are talking about is the type they have with labor leaders. The revolving door of Aso Rock. You go inside, you come out today. Go inside, you come out today. There's nothing achieved. Then the public start to look at you as one of them. They want me to on the doorsteps of Aso Rock Villa, telling Nigerian people that what I've spoken to the president and what he told me is reasonable. And then people will be wondering how much I have been given to say that. So the issues that are raised, the demands are very no. The issue of petroleum subsidy removal, does it require any dialogue? No. The issue of poverty, it doesn't require any dialogue. The issue of corruption, you just have to tell your people who are stealing at the N570bn to stop stealing. I don't know them. They are the ones who know them. The ones who are stealing subsidy money, you know them. Does it require dialogue? No. Those things don't require dialogue. A lot of the demands we made do not require any physical meeting. Are you getting my point? But they want to create another set of team or dialogue team, quote and unquote, that will be entering Aso Rock and coming out. They'll camp them out in a hotel. They'll be taking care of them, bribing if for those who might accept bribe. And then after a while, even the team that you sent to dialogue will start fighting themselves. And Nigerians will be saying, see, they're not ready. They are very vast in these tactics. And those of us who know them very well will not fall for such things easily. So, and that's why you see they have engaged in other tactics, like they will issue statements that they will put our signature and say that we have called off our strike or protest. They will try to blackmail you every day. So, you're this, like the one you just said, that I ran out of the country before because I lost the election, as if there was an election in 2023. Is it not when there's an election that you can lose election? It's just like somebody saying to you to come and play soccer, football, or this Olympics that is going on in Paris. They ask you to come there. You get to the Olympics and you are waiting to run, or you are waiting to do long jump or discus or shot put or swim. And the officials came and told you that they have already decorated the winners when there was no competition. would you call that an Olympics? Yes. That's what INEC did in 2023 and what I've been doing for a long time. So what is there to, even before the election, I told Nigerians that this guy's very planning an election. I told Nigerians, I went everywhere. I even went to meetings with INEC. And it is part of the reason why anybody who wants to go for dialogue should be very careful. One of my experiences during the 2023 election was that when you go to INEC, the INEC chairman will hold meetings with leaders of political parties. And when we go into the meeting and the media leaves, most of those leaders of political parties who you see on TV, talking heads, say, we want free and fair election, this and that, they will be praising the INEC chairman. I'm talking without exception. We are the only ones who go into those meetings and say to them, what was good? It turns out that some of the party leaders are themselves INEC contractors. So anytime you are going into any dialogue with anybody at the highest office in Nigeria, or any level for that matter, just take that into consideration that this majority of the people you are seeing outside who are talking heads, who will be spitting fire on TV or on radio, when they get to meet these people, they will be prostrating for them. You will be shocked that are they not the same people that we saw on TV? It also happened when we went for presidential peace committee meeting and in Abuja. The last one in particular shocked me because I was sitting next to Tinubu, and you saw where he was dragging my program. But I left the program for him because I knew the game he was playing. I wanted to put up an appearance that I know him or I'm friends with him, and the photographers were standing by. So, but when the event was over, I stood up and left. He was looking at me like wondering why I left. I turned back. It's 2 seconds later. All his opponents were lining up. The people who said he's a drug dealer, he's a thief, and I'll mention this, Peter Obi, Danawa, all of them had lined up in front of him. Yes, sir. Dati, the vice president of Peter Obi, was almost kneeling down. Yes, sir, leader, sir. I was like shocked. And these are the people on TV who say Tinubu is a drug dealer, he's a thief. He doesn't know where he came from. When they saw him in person, they were all prostrating all around him. I was like, I look back and I'm not making this up. The photographs are out there. Yeah, so I said this to tell you that a lot of people that you see in Nigeria who tell you they want a better Nigeria are only waiting for when it will be better for them. They don't care about a better Nigeria.
Let me take
because a lot of them know that if Nigeria gets better, they won't get the kind of respect and accolade they get. They won't have the kind of illegal wealth they have.
Okay,
because the real people of Nigeria will be able to flourish. The people who have brain, intellect, and capacity will be able to flourish. Right now, Nigeria has reached a level where every criminal that you have heard about when you were growing up has become a governor, House of Rep member, State Assembly member, senator, and now the president. Every criminal that you heard about, the drug dealers, kidnappers, armed robbers, everybody that we used to hate.
Maybe because
419 people,
we allow them.
The one in Imo was the driver to Ibekwe, who was the kingpin of 419, who is late now. He has become governor. So that is the challenge. That is the enormity of the problem that Nigerians are facing, that they must understand cannot be solved by being docile or complacent. We have to put up a good fight so that good people can reign supreme in that country. Even if you don't want to be in politics, at least good people deserve a breathing space.
Okay.
Good people,
I agree with you. Good people deserve some breathing space.
Right now, two things are happening to good people. They're either living or dying.
They're either living, that is Jack Barron, or dying.
Yes, or dying. But guess what? The ones that are living, let them know that the white people of Europe, you saw that happening in London, are starting to attack black populations of immigrants. We don't know what will happen by 2025. Maybe they'll start killing all the people who have done Japa, because far right wing crazy people, the redheads, are on the rise in Europe. What used to happen during the period of Hitler. So we better make Nigeria better so that if you have to jackpot, you have a place to come back to.
Now, let me go back to this speech now, because there are some good points in the speech too. For instance, the 570 billion naira released to 36 states for livelihood support. The governors handed to the governors and so on, because the states have their role to play in all this. They've also processed for student loans the payments of about 45.6 billion naira and other things listed here. If the governors are doing the right thing with these monies, for instance, 570 billion naira, that should go a long way in ameliorating the sufferings of people.
Do you want to hear a secret now?
Tell me.
570 billion naira that was released to governors was to bribe the governors to ensure there are no protests in their states.
What are the evidences you have? Is that just speculative, or
it's not,
and you can prove it if they call us? Bring the facts.
They tell them to call me. Okay. What did I do 3 days ago on Saturday night? What did you hear I did?
I don't remember.
I got a copy of the speech Tinubu was going to deliver on Sunday morning and released it 8 hours before he read the speech. And the speech was accurate word for word. Why am I telling you? I'm not telling you to brag. I'm just saying that when I tell you something, maybe you should believe me sometimes, or most times. And at any rate, any money given to state governors is as good as giving the money to armed robbers in Nigeria. Right now, state governors are collecting allocations that are bigger than what they used to collect. The moment that allocation arrives, they change it to dollar and it's leaving Nigeria that night. They are the cause of this. They are part and parcel of the cause of this widespread poverty. I agree. So how can you then turn around and give the same state governors 570 billion? You should have as well just changed the money, or ask the Central Bank of Nigeria to send the money to every Nigerian out there who is hungry. How can you give money to governors? Governors are some of the worst thieves of public resources in Nigeria. State governors.
That's very strong statements we're making on the air. This is we're on the air now.
We are in very strong terms. And the headwinds at this time must be going in the direction of where we should say it. When I was in Nigeria, I said these things on TV stations, radio said, no, I'm not sure, that's your opinion. And I would tell them one thing, which is what Fela used to say. I said, they can take me to court.
Okay, so that's your opinion.
If they feel libeled, all the governors are at liberty to take me to court. I will open book for them. And I will be proven right. But they will never go to court. That's why they always connive with police to charge you for cybercrime, because they know that they can't prove anything in a civil trial. So, didn't the federal government take me to court in 2019, claiming that they saw me somewhere in Dubai collecting $100 million to come and destabilize Nigeria? When we got to court, and the judge found out I've never been to Dubai before, they withdrew the charges. But they still played through the judiciary for 5 years and went and shamefully withdrew their charges in March of 2024. There was no time I spoke and didn't speak truth to the Nigerian people. I cannot blame myself if I stay ahead of others. I usually think that my crime as a Nigerian is that I'm way ahead of my time. Because so many of these things that are happening now are things we were fighting against when I was at the university as a student in my 20s. So many of these things are predictable, and I had predicted them that it will happen. It is not prophecy. It's not a church thing. I don't have any special gifts. But it's just common sense to understand that if you are not constructing roads, if you're a member of your family could die in an accident. It's common sense to know that if you don't build schools, you are creating children that are going to be nuisance in the future. It's common sense to know that if you don't build hospitals, you're likely to die even before you get to a foreign hospital. So everything we're talking about affects both the Nigerian people, the common people, and even the rich. Was it not last week or so that even Dangote, the richest man on the continent of Africa, became an activist crying on TV every night that they are taking away his refinery, even though the refinery belongs to Nigerian people, because it was Nigeria's money they used in building the refinery through, their serious money laundering strategies that we all know.
Nigerian money. They said NNPC didn't even finish paying her part. NNPC is supposed to be representing Nigeria's part.
Why would NNPC go and invest even 500 naira in a refinery that is being built from scratch when it has four refineries that needed to be fixed with $1.5 billion? Which country does that? And they sit down there and say, oh, they didn't even finish paying us for their... Are we supposed to be investing in a private refinery when our own public refineries are not working? It's just... Sometimes I'm numbed by the kind of public reasoning that governs our thought processes. It shocks me when you hear certain things from people. I've even seen people publicizing again that, oh, Dangote has crashed fuel price, so diesel price, so just like they have been saying that he has crashed cement price since he started his cement companies. And don't forget that one of the cement companies they own used to be owned by Nigeria, Boko, Benue State.
Okay, Joseph.
Yeah, Sowore, are you not trying to be, how do I put it, careful of if you visit Nigeria now, policing agency may say that they have a lot of information that you actually cause a lot of crisis that leads to some deaths in Nigeria, that they need to chat with you either in court or charge you one thing or the other. Are you not concerned that anytime you are visiting Nigeria that they will ask you to come and visit them too, having spent some time with them in Abuja?
Oh man, I'll be happy to rejoin them. I'll be happy to be with them again, to have those conversations. It's one of the things I love about being arrested. After all the gara, after all the violence, the beatings that we receive, which is unfortunate because we're not supposed to be treated like animals in our country. When I sit down with them for what they call interrogation, it's an education process. I lectured them, and some of them, there was, when I was arrested by the DSS, and they brought some young guys, about 5 of them, 4 of them to interrogate me. When we got an hour into the interrogation, one of them left and never came back. I saw him one other day. I said, why did you run away? He said he can't take it anymore. He didn't know that everything that they asked them to ask me were concocted by their guys. He didn't know that I was arrested by the DSS when I was doing NYC in 1995. He was born, I'm telling you now, this guy told me he was born in 1996. So, yes. So when I was lecturing them inside the room there, all of them were catching cold. So I'm not afraid. I'm not worried. I've said it before. I said in 2019, I'm not worried about death. And you can't threaten me with death because I'm not afraid of death. You know this very well, Shaw, that nobody who I went to university with thought I would live beyond 30 years old. Because there was so much gang up against me, even in the university. All the courts, the police, all of them were working the military to kill me at the University of Lagos in 1994. There are some people I met in Nigeria in 2018 who were University of Lagos students who swore that they didn't know that I'm still alive. because of what I went through. So I expect them to have even drawn up the charges already. Because some of them have called me that they regretted withdrawing the treason charges against me and they want to have new charges. But what I can promise you is that I'll be back. And I'll be back to face them and face any charges that might come my way.
Okay.
Because this is our country. Any sacrifice that can be made to give Nigeria a fresh lease of life, we should be willing to give it, because some people have just done that this last week in the north. They laid their lives on, they laid their lives down so that we can have a brighter future for their country.
Okay.
And some of them are not as old as I am. I'm 54 years old. The life expectancy of a Nigerian is supposed to be 49. I've overdone my own by 5 years.
All right, let's quickly take 2 or so calls because time is quite fast today. We'll take your calls back to back. You please make it brief, 30 seconds, and then Sowore will tell us the next round for the protest or of the protest. Hello, how are you? Hello? You're on. I've taken your call. Could you check your connection if it's okay? Hello, how are you?
How are you?
Yeah. Tell us your name and you have 30 seconds. Go ahead, please.
This is Kelechi from Oshodi.
It is a bit low. Kelechi from Oshodi, go ahead.
Yes, I greet Sowore.
He greets you.
See this government, I don't know where they are leading us.
Okay, just make the points. You have only 30 seconds. Make the point.
Government that did not have any sympathy for the people, have no vision. Government of liars, I don't know what they are doing. Thank you, my sister.
Thank you. That was a bit low. I didn't really hear what the person had to say, but 0700 903 903 903. We're going to take about 2 more calls. Hello, how are you? Hello? Yeah, your name? Morning. Okay, your surrounding is louder than you.
Okay, what I'm saying is that I listen to all the interviews and that's what happening to people. But I won't say that now, people are beginning to tell us the truth. Like I said in the other time, that my happiness and my greatest happiness is that Nigerians are beginning to be more aware of, they are more conscious of the environment. They are not demanding for what they are right. And it's very, very important. Let him continue like this.
Okay.
If we can continue to sanitize Nigeria, continue to speak to Nigeria, I think by 2027, we get some certain thing right.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Ikan. Ikan just said that he's happy that Nigerians are becoming more aware, that we should keep, keeping them abreast with the things. People should know the truth more, and by so doing, by 2027, it will be totally different. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Yeah, hi, your name?
I'm also calling from Ako.
All right, cool. 30 seconds.
Okay, I want to greet Sowore first. Please, I still want to beg him.
You still want to beg him what?
Speed up
Say that again?
protest here in Lagos. If he can speed up the protest here in Lagos,
Okay.
so that we can achieve our aim.
All right, thank you. Okay. He's saying he's wondering if they can speed up the protest here in Lagos so that the aims can be achieved, speed up the protest. That brings us to the question, what is the next phase and where are we going to next with this?
Well, we are still in the throes of the 10-day protest, and this day 5 of that 10-day stretch. So the whole of this week will continue, and we expect, I like when people say, continue, speed up, but sometimes I worry that they themselves are not participating. If we can have all our people come out at once, we can solve this problem all at once as well. When we were talking to you last time, I remember being on this show. Nobody thought that there would be a protest. Going by the amount of propaganda, the threats against protesters, organizers, what the police was saying, nobody thought we would have a protest, let alone where we are now. So let more Nigerians come on wherever you are, from hiding under your bed. This is also about you. and we can speed up the process as more people come out. But I should once again thank our people who are out there, Nigerians across the country in large numbers, all the organizers, people who are now also supporting them in one way or the other. We appreciate you, and we must continue to appreciate you for what you're doing for your country. Sometimes it could be hard. And it could be very inconvenient to do what we have been doing, that I have done for most of my adult life. It's difficult. It's difficult to wake up. Sometimes, those of us who live in better parts of the world, it's difficult to wake up and think about Nigeria. Those of us who have tasted the different sides. But the way I live my life is that if I find myself in a better part of the world, I accept it one day at a time. And if I find myself next day in prison or detention, I accept it. I don't give up. So that we also want to let people know that today is the 5th anniversary of Revolution Now. As one of your speakers said there, it is because we started Revolution Now that the awareness that we have now has grown. One thing I want to say that is also very important is that this protest that you're seeing now that is spreading everywhere is also developing the new set of leaders in the country, young people who have conscience, who have courage, who are bold, and who are able to articulate the needs of their own society. That's what some of what these protest movements that we have created at the Take It Back level has become. And one of the things I want to reveal to you is that this movement that has taken over Nigeria now started surreptitiously in 2016. That's where a bulk of these young people and I met when I visited Nigeria, including people like Nibehe, Shegun Olo, Shegun Femi Adeyeye, Juwon, and Michael, all these young people from Kaduna, Gombe. These are people that are all part of the movement. Some of them we met during the election. So apart from the fact that there's a Take It Back movement that kicked off around that time, we then went ahead and set up our own political party known as the African Action Congress. So, but we're not just a regular political party who waits for election cycles to either win or lose. No. Okay. We are carrying the historical duty of taking Nigerian people to the land of freedom, the land of milk and honey, where everybody will benefit from their own God-given wealth. I say God-given as an expression of how our people can understand it.
Okay. We have to wrap up now. Thank you so much, Sowore. And I'm looking forward to another session of updates and hoping that all the violence we experienced before, that tripped off, will not happen again. Hoping that the uniformed people will deal civilly with the people the way they ought to deal with them and not brutalize anybody. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye-bye. All right. You're listening to VOP 90.3 FM. I'm Cordelia Obe, and Joseph Lawrence Shaw has been with me. We have to say bye-bye now because the news is on. By 12. Joseph, see you tomorrow.
Yeah, by God's grace.
By God's grace, amen to that. All right. Till then, I said my name before. Abiodun Ojedeji. This is your name.
Hey, you go write down 1,000 times.